It's time for me to speak about my favorite feature in the game, which is the warpeds. And of course, as being archer main, I'm always interested regarding archer warpeds, and in this case, of course, Barbed Manticore, right? The newest warped. We just came out with the Fulgrim and Sibyl, and it has a pretty interesting skill set, which is really interesting for me, and I'm gonna try to explain everybody because defense break has been one of my favorite styles of the archers, because that's the reason why I put all of my legendary tokens on Kinara and Nico, and finally we are getting even more, right? So at first we need to understand what Barbed Manticore does, and then it will be easier for me to give you guys the ideas, right? The most important skill, which is puncture, attack range medium, it is important to mention, deals physical damage to target, inflicts defense break, which is minus 5% defense for 3 seconds, which is really unique skill, and I'm gonna speak about this skill later, right? If the target legion already has defense break, your warped legion gains 1 stack, third mark, maximum will be 5 stacks, which is yet again determined by luck. Each time it deals hero innate damage, which is 5 fixed scale damage. If the target legion existing defense break effect is stronger than your own, your legion also gains 50%. So basically, if you have already applied defense break and it will be better than the puncture, you're gonna get 50 rate, right? Which is really unique skill. We have nothing like this in the game until Barbed Manticore, which makes this warped really unique in this sense, right? Third marks warped skill damage like in percentage is maximum to 1.6%, and skill damage factor is 100%. 100 damage at the last stars, right? The advanced puncture, just pure damage increase. So we need to mention that it's a luck skin yet again, and on the maximum stars I think 20% is really nice, and even 4.3 is pretty cool whenever we are speaking about the damage increase, right? The intense puncture, which will be gettable from the emeralds, right? Yggdra crystals. Puncture increase turned marks warped skill damage bonus by 1.1 percentage points, determined by strengths, right? So it means every single stack will be increased by 1.1%, and of course, like whenever you're gonna get the intense puncture, I think 5% will be easy to get, because 3 stars in general, whenever you are buying the warped from the special shop of the warpeds, is really cool, right? And of course, what we understand from the puncture skill set, it's against infantries, right? I think finally we are getting some archer gameplay after Kinara and Nico, which is like season 1 hero pairs, which like something which is giving us extra defense break, which will be easier for archers to actually fight more perfectly against infantry players, because we all know that infantries are having the highest amount of defense in the game. So let's imagine, well, on my case I already have Barbed Manticore, and of course we need to understand the attributes, and I have to mention one more time, don't start building warped if it's epic, rare, or like green one, right? You only start building your warped whenever it's legendary warped, and whenever you have quite a good amount of skill slots and some nice attributes. In my case, for example, I don't like strengths, which means I have to regenerate more in order to get more strengths. But for the Barbed Manticore, I think luck, agility, and strengths are the main priority attributes. So if you are trying to start building the Barbed Manticore, try to look for S tier on luck, agility, and strengths, and at least 7 or 6, of course, full skill slots will be amazing, but we live in a reality world. It's super hard unless you get super lucky to get like high amount of skill slots and perfect stats. So you kind of have to lose something to gain something in this game, in my opinion. So in our case, like even if I had A tier on strengths, I would start building this warped. So that's about like attributes. Try get luck, agility, and strengths. That's the #1 priorities. So if I was building this warped, I'm gonna share my ideas how I'm going to use this warped and what kind of skills I'm going to attach. For that, of course, here we have a different choices. And of course every single choice is not good from here. That's why I really like the moment of building warpeds, because in my head I already understand what I'm gonna add to this warped, right? I think core skills in this warped should be all of them together, because in general I like the core skills which are giving some damage, and I think puncture is the most important skill for Barbed Manticore. That's why I think puncture, advanced puncture and intense puncture should be on the warped. Of course, the next one, Chain Strike. I think not a single warped of the archer style can't be worked without Chain Strike. So I think Chain Strike, intense Chain Strike, and advanced Chain Strike. Well, in terms of advanced Chain Strike, I'm not really sure. I think it won't gonna be that important to heal on this warped. That's why I think Chain Strike and advanced intense Chain Strike will give us even more damage, right? And that's like one of the most important skills for warpeds, especially warpeds which are archers, to deal damage is through Chain Strike and some intense Chain Strike. The next one, which I would always go for archer warpeds, are Blood Roar or Fatal Bite, right? I generally would not recommend to go for First Attack or Tooth of the Claw, because I think this warped doesn't really need something like that. So I think Puncture, Advanced Puncture, Intense Puncture, Chain Strike, Intense Chain Strike, Blood Roar. Of course, you're gonna have like 3 luck skills with Blood Roar, and Fatal Bite should be the correct choices. Actually, this is the way I'm going to build my Barbed Manticore, and sooner or later I'm gonna share my already built Barbed Manticore, and of course I will be really proud regarding that. The hero pairs, which is really interesting for this Barbed Manticore, I think there is like only 2 choices for archers basically, and the reason why there is only 2 choices, because only these 2 heroes has defense break in their arsenal, and that's of course Kinara with the awakening skill. That's not gonna be like too free to play friendly, because you kinda have to awaken Kinara in order for you to actually apply defense break, which is 20% for 3 seconds, right? And that's the basic hero, which I think every single player will be able to unlock at some point during the gameplay. And the next hero, the second hero, which I think Barbed Manticore will work really well, of course, that's Sibyl. Sibyl on her fourth skill has defense break on reaching 500 rage, inflict defense break upon the target for 15 seconds. So defense break for 50 seconds is quite a lot of time, which means Barbed Manticore will be even better with the Sibyl than with Kinara, right? Because Kinara applies defense break for only 3 seconds, and Sibyl applies defense break for 15 seconds, right? And defense reduction is also like 10% if the skill will be on the 5 level, which means Barbed Manticore's puncture skill will work amazingly well with the Sibyl. So this is the only heroes which can have a synergy with the Barbed Manticore, and I think we should not really look on other choices, because this is the most perfect ones, right? Of course, I want to speak about other archer warpeds which I'm currently working to show off. This is my Snowpeak Roc for my Kinara and Nico hero pair, which has defense break on its own with the concentration skill. I have been trying my best to make the concentration 3-star. You can see how close I am, and of course I'm gonna try my best to make this 3-star in season 3 until this KVK will be over. And yeah, I got the advanced concentration 3-star, intense concentration, and the Blood Roar, Fatal Bite, and Chain Strike synergies are always like in almost every single warped for the archers, right? So basically it's really easy to understand. The most damage dealing skills for the archer warpeds are Chain Strike synergy, especially the normal Chain Strike and intense Chain Strike, especially if your warped has S tier on your agility, such for example on my own Snowpeak Roc has the highest amount of attributes on agility, right? The next warped which I'm all like working at the same time is of course the Shadow Manticore. I'm not using Shadow Manticore so far for my Magrot and Zaida, because I think the advanced barbarism is the most important skill for the Shadow Manticore, and if without this skill I think nobody should be using Shadow Manticore on Magrot and Zaida. This is the skill which gives like everything what Magrot and Zaida needs in this on this hero on this warpage, right? And of course these skills, yet again, you will see the pattern, right? Chain Strike and Intense Chain Strike is here, but in the Shadow Manticore's case, because Magrot and Zaida loves to receive healing, I think Advanced Chain Strike will be a great choice for this Shadow Manticore. So I will be having Barbarism, Intense Barbarism. I will replace Hit Weakness with the third Barbarism skill. I'm gonna have Chain Strike, Intense Chain Strike. I'm gonna get Advanced Chain Strike instead of Eviscerate, and in the end I will finish with Angry Roar for us to have some more, or Blood Roar, for example, to have some crit rate. In general, I really like crit rates on the warpeds for the archers. Of course, Night Roc, one of the best warpeds which was in Season 1 and Season 2, simply because of the Syndron and Freygar. I think a lot of people have actually forgot about this warped because how strong Magrot and Zaida have been in this game. But I think even Night Roc can be used on the Magrot and Zaida if you want to go for a full damage build, because our Rage is all about damage, increasing crit rate, increasing normal attack damage with landing crit. That's the all we want to have from Night Roc, right? And the skill set is really simple. I think every single skill needs to be here for the Rage. Advanced Rage will be great. Chain Strike, Intense Chain Strike, depends if you really want to have some heals with Advanced Chain Strike. If you don't want to have some heals, you can have the Night Roc without Advanced Chain Strike. Blood Roar and Fatal Bite is always nice. Don't run Fierce Attack, don't run Intense Fierce Attack on the Night Roc, right? The next warped which I really want to speak is of course Sand Lizard. This is the Sand Lizard I'm using currently for my Magrot and Zaida until I'm gonna build my Shadow Manticore. And well, whenever my Manticore will be ready, I will put this Sand Lizard on my Archer support hero pair. I'm gonna exchange Intense Stone Aura with the Advanced Stone Aura, because with the Intense Stone Aura you are only healing your own one legion. And whenever you have the Sand Lizard on support, you want to heal a lot more hero pairs around. So I think you want to remove Intense Stone Aura if you want to heal more than one legion. Tranquility, of course, normal way of building Sand Lizard, more heal amplifiers, even better. I think this is a great skill, like great care, 10% chance to heal every second. That's what we want on Sand Lizard. And of course, like every single skill which is giving us some extra benefits with the healing will be perfect for Sand Lizard, right? In my case, I'm gonna be using Sand Lizard with Indecent Aura. So basically, Sand Lizard's main job will be to just heal and do like nothing else, right? Just heal and heal and heal, and we all know how overpowered healing is in Call of Dragons. So basically, as you guys understood, my strongest warped in the game is Snowpeak Roc, because this is like one of the first warpeds I have ever had. I put like more like resources in the Snowpeak Roc than anything else. Whenever I'm gonna finish the Snowpeak Roc, and finishing the Snowpeak Roc means that I'm gonna have the concentration on 3-star. I'm gonna try to finish working on Shadow Manticore to get the third Barbarism skill, and the next one on the line will be of course Barbed Manticore, because at some point of course I'm gonna try to get Falgrim and Sibyl, and of course I'm gonna try to implement with my like 4 March. So far it's 3 March, but I'm gonna make it on a 4 March, because well, as a player like me who doesn't really spend money in this game, I have to plan everything ahead. I have to understand what's my goals and how far I can, like how far the goals will take me, right? So basically this is the warped section, which like always one of my favorite sections in the game. All the catching warpeds and trying to increase the stars and the skills, I think brought like different dimension to the game, which I really like. If you guys want to see my other warpeds, like this is my Sapphire Frederick, one more warped which was one of the first ones which I have ever gotten, and that's the reason why I have such a good stars on my Sapphire Frederick. So basically I think warpeds will continue to come out. We should not really get lost in what we are going to build. If you are Archer player, go and build Archer warpeds. If you are Mage player, go and build mage warpets. So basically you have to try your best to utilize your account in a way so every single resource which game gives you will be applied for your main troop type. So as always guys, if you like the video, press like, subscribe, share. It always gives me more and more motivation to make more content for this game. I wish everybody amazing day, morning and night. We are going to see each other really soon. Bye bye and good luck.